In the summer of 1565, fewer than 700 knights and a handful of Maltese defenders stood against the greatest military machine the world had ever seen. By September, 25,000 Ottoman soldiers lay dead. This is the story of how a tiny island defied an empire and changed the course of European history forever. It's the mid-16th century. The Mediterranean is a battlefield. On one side, the Ottoman Empire, stretching from Baghdad to Budapest, commanded by Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, arguably the most powerful ruler on earth. On the other, Christian Europe, fractured, distracted by religious wars, but united by one common fear: Ottoman expansion. And caught in the middle is a small, rocky island south of Sicily, Malta. To most, it's unremarkable, barren, hot, barely 122 square miles of limestone and dust. But to the Ottomans, Malta is a dagger pointed at their empire's heart, because Malta is home to the Knights Hospitaller, a militant religious order expelled from Rhodes decades earlier, now operating as Europe's most dangerous raiders. They strike Ottoman shipping, they harass coastal towns. They are, in the Sultan's eyes, pirates in the name of God. And in 1565, Suleiman decides, enough. He will crush Malta, eliminate the knights, secure a forward base near Italy, and perhaps open the door to Rome itself. The plan is overwhelming. Around 40,000 soldiers, elite janissaries, siege engineers, cavalry, and thousands of irregulars. A fleet of over 200 ships, the finest generals in the Ottoman army, including the legendary corsair Dragut, scourge of the Mediterranean. Against them, roughly 6,000 defenders total. About 700 knights, 8,000 Maltese militia and civilians, a few Spanish soldiers, and limited supplies. The knights' leader is Jean de la Valette, 70 years old, battle-hardened, unshakable. He knows the odds. He knows help from Europe is uncertain at best. But he also knows this: if Malta falls, the entire Christian Mediterranean is at risk. So he makes a vow. They will not surrender. They will not retreat. They will fight to the last man. On May 18th, the Ottoman Armada arrives. The horizon darkens with sails. The beaches fill with soldiers. Drums thunder across the water. The siege has begun. But now the Ottomans face a choice. Malta's defenses are concentrated in two main areas: the fortified towns of Birgu and Senglea, where Valette and the bulk of his forces are entrenched. Capture those, and the island is theirs. But there's another target: Fort St. Elmo, a small, star-shaped fortress guarding the entrance to the Grand Harbor. It's isolated, lightly garrisoned, and, according to Ottoman intelligence, it should fall in less than a week. So the Ottoman commander, Mustafa Pasha, makes a decision that will haunt him for the rest of his life. He attacks St. Elmo first. What should have been a quick victory becomes a meat grinder. The defenders of St. Elmo, just a few hundred men, fight with ferocious intensity. Every stone wall becomes a killing ground. Every breach is sealed with bodies. The Ottomans pound the fort with artillery. They launch wave after wave of assaults. Janissaries storm the walls, only to be thrown back by defenders wielding swords, pikes, and burning hoops of flaming oil. Days turn into weeks. Supply boats slip across the harbor at night, bringing reinforcements, volunteers who know they are sailing to their deaths. And then Dragut himself arrives to take command. The famed corsair, veteran of 100 battles, assesses the situation and realizes the mistake immediately. "This fort has cost us too much already," he reportedly says. But it's too late to stop now. On June 17th, a cannonball strikes near Dragut's position. Shrapnel tears through him. He dies days later, one of the most feared naval commanders in Ottoman history, killed at a fort that was supposed to fall in a week. After 31 days of hell, Fort St. Elmo finally collapses. The last defenders are slaughtered. Ottoman soldiers plant their banners on the ruined walls. But the price is staggering. Estimates suggest over 8,000 Ottoman casualties, nearly a fifth of their entire force, lost taking a single minor fort. Across the harbor, Jean de la Valette watches the Ottoman banners rise. He knows what it cost them, and he knows something else. They've already lost. With St. Elmo taken, the Ottomans turn their full fury on the main defenses: Birgu and Senglea, fortified peninsulas jutting into the harbor, connected by walls, bastions, and sheer desperation. The bombardment is relentless. Day and night, Ottoman cannons tear into the stone. Sections of wall collapse. Buildings crumble. The air fills with dust and screams. But every time the Ottomans attack, they're met with withering fire. Valette has prepared well. Hidden artillery, concealed marksmen, countermines dug beneath the enemy siege works. When Ottoman sappers tunnel under the walls, the defenders collapse their tunnels, burying hundreds alive. When the Ottomans try amphibious assaults on Senglea, the defenders repel them with chains stretched across the water and floating fire ships. But the siege takes its toll. Food runs low. Water becomes scarce. Disease spreads. Every day more defenders die, not just from battle, but from exhaustion, starvation, infection. The knights fight alongside farmers, blacksmiths, fishermen, anyone who can hold a weapon. Women and children haul stones to repair walls. The elderly tend the wounded. Everyone knows there is no escape, no fallback position. This is it. And then a glimmer of hope. In early August, a small relief force arrives from Sicily, just 600 men. It's not enough to break the siege, but it's enough to inject hope, to remind the defenders they have not been forgotten. The Ottomans call it the piccolo soccorso, the small relief. To the defenders, it's everything. As summer drags on, the Ottoman camp begins to fracture. Supplies are running low, soldiers are sick, morale is crumbling. Mustafa Pasha knows time is running out. European reinforcements are rumored to be gathering in Sicily. If a large relief force arrives, the Ottomans could be trapped between the defenders and fresh enemy troops. He orders one final, desperate assault. August 7th, thousands of Ottoman soldiers hurl themselves at the walls in a coordinated attack on both Birgu and Senglea. It's the closest they ever come to victory. Ottoman troops breach the walls. Hand-to-hand fighting erupts in the streets. For a moment, it looks like the defenses will collapse. But Valette himself, now 70 years old, grabs a pike and rushes to the breach. His presence rallies the defenders. They throw the Ottomans back. Barely. The assault fails. And with it, the siege is effectively over. On September 6th, sails appear on the horizon. A Spanish relief force, around 8,000 men, lands in the north of Malta. It's smaller than expected. But to the Ottomans, it doesn't matter. They've been besieging Malta for over 3 months. They've lost tens of thousands of men. Their supplies are gone. Their morale is shattered. Mustafa Pasha orders a retreat. But before leaving, he attempts one final gambit, a field battle near the town of Medina, hoping to destroy the relief force and salvage the campaign. It backfires spectacularly. The Ottoman forces, exhausted and disorganized, are routed. Panic spreads through the ranks. Within days, the once mighty Ottoman army is scrambling back to their ships. By September 11th, they're gone. The numbers are almost incomprehensible. Of the roughly 40,000 Ottomans who landed in May, an estimated 25,000 are dead. On the defenders' side, fewer than 1,000 of the original garrison survive. Malta is saved, but it's a wasteland. Walls shattered, towns burned, entire families wiped out. And yet, they held. The victory sends shockwaves across Europe. The invincible Ottomans have been stopped. The Knights of Malta become legends overnight. Jean de la Valette, the iron-willed Grand Master, is celebrated as one of history's great military leaders. The city built after the siege, Valletta, still bears his name today. For the Ottomans, it's a turning point. They'll continue to fight in the Mediterranean, but never again with the same confidence. Malta becomes a symbol, a reminder that no matter how great the odds, no matter how overwhelming the enemy, sometimes the ones who hold the line change history. The Great Siege of Malta is often compared to Verdun, a battle where sheer will, more than tactics or numbers, determined the outcome. It's a story of desperation, sacrifice, and the kind of courage that only emerges when there's no other choice. And it's a reminder that sometimes history's greatest moments happen, not when armies advance, but when defenders refuse to break. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most dramatic sieges, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more forgotten battles, untold stories, and moments that shaped the world waiting for you. Thanks for watching. And remember, history isn't just about what happened, it's about what almost didn't.